It is a game. It is a video game. And the more, unfortunately, the more popularity you gain on Instagram, sorry to say, the more, if you have a digital product or even a brick and mortar product, you can win. And it sucks in a way, because a lot of you guys, these are some of the finest coaches that are on here. You guys have spent your entire lifetime becoming experts at in your craft. And now you have some goofball out there who's taking his shirt off and who, unfortunately the consumer doesn't know any better between you guys and the guy who's shirtless, or the woman who's showing off her glutes. And they really are the ones right now that are winning when it comes down to a scalability standpoint, because they're the ones selling the most products. So, I'm not saying we can, as smarter coaches, do it right, but we really have to learn a lot from what these influencers, as I like to call them, because they're not coaches, they're influencers. I see a few of you laughing, but as these influencers are approaching it, we should learn a little bit from them. As ridiculous as some of them are, they are really developing that popularity. It's one of those things where we need some time to show what we do. And nowadays it's difficult, because that first 3 seconds is usually of some guy with his shirt off or some woman showing off her ass. And that's that's not exactly what most of us like to do, but it is teaching us something, because it's showing that we have to get our point across a lot quicker. And I talk to coaches all the time, and not to ramble on about it, but they can't explain what they do. I always say, unless we can explain what we do in a 2-floor elevator ride, then it's just too long, and a lot of us can't.
The ability for you to develop your personal brand and who you are as a coach, and I don't care what people say, like, everything you put out there is who you are. The ability to build that brand is allowing good coaches to be able to show people that they're good coaches.
Regardless of private sector, public, collegiate, whatever you're doing, even in professional team sports, you're in the persuasion business, and you're in the sales business. You're having to sell people on ideas to get them to do what you want to do, and whether that's to put their hand in their pocket, to get a sports coach to play ball, or even athletes to implement the kind of behaviors that you would like to see outside of the weight room or outside the contact hours that you have with them. And the prerequisite for making a sale in any format is firstly, you have to have attention, and then you have to build on that attention and convert people and get them to know, like, and trust you, and then get what you want out of the transaction. With the awareness thing and being known, I think it's a quote from Pirates of the Caribbean. He says, "You're without doubt the worst pirate that I've ever heard of." And he says, "But you have heard of me." And, to get hired, they have to know who you are in the first place. And social media, for better or for worse, is a massive tool to get that awareness.
It can be very, very challenging for the court of public opinion when you're putting out information that could be construed a certain way. I mean, sometimes you're putting out a picture, you're putting out a small video. People don't have context, and they run with it how they want to. So it can definitely be challenging. I think for us, just having more success and being fully transparent with telling people, hey, this is something that we have had success with. Not saying it's something that's the best or that it's an absolute must, but it definitely can be challenging just given the lack of context. So it's not something, to be quite honest, that I've really fully dove into. And it's something I think if you were to look at like somebody like, say, strength coach therapy, I don't know if anybody follows him, like Teddy's one of my good friends. I think he does a really, really good job of just putting stuff out there, speaking in relative generalities, but condensing stuff in a manner that a lot of us could sit back and go, all right, well, I can see what he's trying to accomplish there.
To answer your question, yeah, it gets dumb sometimes, but there's a fine line of adding a little bit of that relatability, making people laugh, turning around and doing rows with a food truck. Fine. You know what? It's, am I dumbing myself down as a coach? No, I'm turning around to people and I'm showing them that this doesn't all have to be 90 minutes a day, 6 days a week. This can still be fun.
I think you have to look at what Don points out, I'm not looking to sell for subscriptions. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think you have to look at what's the avenue and what's the focus you're looking at. So my thing is, I've always gone back to what has worked for me is that, you have the greatest marketing, the greatest social media, everything in the world, right? You could be the greatest, you could hire the greatest people. If you're a surgeon, when you walk into the OR, it's showtime. You either can do the surgeries or you can't. You could do the rehabs or you can't. You can train the athletes if you can't. Now you got to get the people through the door. And so I buy that. I know recently in social media, there was a thing where 50% of all people select their doctor via social media. So that's important. But with rehab, some people are going to come to you via social media, but some people the doctor's going to say, I don't care what you heard, who you're reading, this is the guy you're going to. This is my guy. And the doctors are going to have a big influence, and that's a personal relationship.
Whether we like it or not, people are going to judge you based off of what you put out. So it better be the right stuff. It better be representing who you are as a person and then who you are as a professional. And so I think it's really powerful.
And so if you're a really good doc and you really have something to offer people, but you have no desire or no feeling that you should be social media savvy, I think that you're probably, doing a disservice to yourself and your clients, potential clients.
Like most of this doesn't provide enough value. And like the things that people, oh yeah. And Banta's 100% right. Butt shots with Bible verses, like 100%. But it's like what people want to see are like quotes that can get them to like understand things a little better, or like breakdowns of like small parts of what you're actually doing with training, like provide value with it. And it's like all of a sudden things start to get better. Like I did a My Thoughts Monday, and we've done a bunch of podcasts talking about this. Like nobody cares what you're sharing except for like a few like internet trolls. Most people are more interested in the fact that you are sharing. Like if you're going to show people like what you're doing and how you can help and like what's good, bad, or indifferent about the programming things that you're doing, like people are going to be drawn to that and want to talk to you about that. Like that's what's important.
I will say I lament the fact that there are other women who are in the fitness world who kind of, I feel like, set the rest of us back because they do use some of those, methods to promote themselves. And so that's always a challenge to me.
And somebody had mentioned in the chat about, will it become our next like virtual resume? And I would hope not, to be honest, because I think a lot of people can present themselves very differently over the internet or over social media. But I still want to make sure that if I was interviewing somebody, or an interview is a huge part of it face-to-face, there's a lot of people that I come in contact with that can say whatever they want on social media, but they can't talk to you in person, or they have they don't have the social skills that it takes to build those personal relationships. And I think that's a big part of, at least in the physical therapy world, it's a big part of it.
But I'll tell you, I think it's been fantastic. And we were talking there in this chat. I mean, I think when you talk about movements and affecting people, is there anything that affects people more than social media? I mean, there's no great movement that's not influenced by social media. So if you want something to get across, I think you have to be there. No big businesses without social media.
Is this the age of kind of self-education, DIY, do it yourself? And I know I'm constantly figuring out how to do new things with my website or, whatever, send out emails to everybody.
I think to a point there is. I think that, you've got a great show, and there's a lot of free podcast information out there where you can figure out, at least personally, like the people that kind of fit your flavor, and then you can invest your time and money and resources into the things that they teach. But I don't know if necessary. I really think that the time of like that post education when you get out of high school is probably coming to a pretty abrupt end in the really near future, because these things have changed the world, man. There's so much free stuff out there. Like, dude, just on YouTube, like I could take my car apart and put it back together.
That's what scares me in the industry, is that with social media, you want to know what scares me? There's no quality control. And where in the past, I don't know if this has ever happened, you had clients coming to you going, I've read this article on Men's Health. Right now, people are turning around saying, oh, this guy is talking about the ketogenic diet. And
Right.
I'm muscle on, and it's like, it's this battle. I mean, quality control has to improve.
And I think it's our job as professionals, if our thing is about being credible and all this stuff, that when we see something that's just not different than what we think, but wrong, I think it's our responsibility to say something. Are we going to change that person's mind? I mean, I don't know. Most likely not if it's a zealot sort of situation. But what I'm trying to do is affect the person that's reading that and give them more information. Like, we can turn them cats off. Those guys don't mean anything to us. And while we're fighting them, we're not making any progress. It's almost like the whole idea about strength and conditioning. How do we set the standard for behavior? We don't say what that guy's doing is wrong. The rest of us just do so much right that then what that other person's doing isn't the standard. It's aberrant. So you just don't.
But do you have to broadcast that? Do we have to get people seeing what's right? Like, do you have to make that extra effort? Yeah.
I think you do. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, again, it's not bringing your grip in 2-3 inches on a barbell curl for better bicep activation, not that kind of stuff, but, stuff that's, refuting science, stuff that's not safe. Hell yeah, we got to bring that up. I mean, I think that's the virtue of, being able to talk to the masses. I think, if most people are looking for some sort of information, I don't want them to listen to misinformation if I can stop that from happening. So, we push in different ways, and certainly not just social media, but I think if you're dismissing the power of social media, I think you're making a mistake.
If you're meeting people and you're shaking hands with people out in the community and you're meeting people face to face and you're adding value to their life on a much more personal level, I think you're going to have a much easier time getting whatever content out there that you're looking to get out there. And it's going to be much easier for the people who are, some of the people with the most intellectual capital in our industry to make more of a transformational change, throughout the local, regional, or national community, whatever they're trying to impact.
When I first came out, it was all about, let's go, gloves up, let's have it. And now I've learned more that at the end of the day, when you're dealing with trolls like that, those type of people, it's better to kill them with kindness and sometimes admit that maybe you don't know the answer to that, and that's okay. And, through my experiences, those things are some things that I've found that have really helped me move along and to gain a little bit larger of a following and earn some respect along the way too.
Exactly why we got into this industry, adding value, whether you're a physical therapist, whether you're a trainer. But I always took the approach of people look at us and what we do as somewhat of a luxury, make it a necessity for them, add so much value. So even online, just try and give them so much information, give it for free, and just do it because you love it, do it because you enjoy doing it. And I think in time, you'll realize that you build a pretty nice following, which, listen, helps business. Let's face it.